Northern rivers gifted Viking salmon, powerful and precious. In Khao Pang, archaeologists find salmon bones in 80% of coastal homes, so it was eaten often. Fishing was men's work, at dawn, with linen nets pulled by the river's current. Ingredients came straight from the river and the coast. Fresh salmon, cleaned and cut into thick fillets. Sea salt, large coastal crystals. Dill, green and smelling like summer. And juniper for thick, aromatic smoke. First, the salting. The fillets were rubbed generously with salt, and sprigs of dill were tucked between the layers, green on deep pink. Nearby, juniper branches smolder, the smoke hanging low like morning river mist. Cold smoking, 6 hours at 60 to 80 degrees. The fish goes onto a rack of willow sticks. The skin slowly turns golden. Fat drips onto the stones and sizzles. Dill sinks into every fiber. Smoke swirls, as if guarding the river's secrets. The salmon becomes ruby pink, and the skin crisps beautifully. This fish was served at feasts and carried on long journeys. In the saga of Grettir, it's the food of warriors and sailors. Traces of smoked fish appear in 65% of burials. Not magic, a way to save life and flavor. True Scandinavia. River, smoke, and the scent of dill. Autumn by the fjords was the time for wild apples, Freya's gift. In Hidibi, archaeologists find apple seeds in 60% of kitchen pits, meaning they were loved and often used. Harvesting apples was a small but important seasonal celebration. Just a few ingredients, all close at hand. Smoked bacon from pork ribs, a winter supply. Wild apples, ripe and tangy. Little onions. Thick honey in a clay jar, and a touch of sea salt. On a hot iron pan, bacon is fried until crisp. The fat sizzles and becomes tasty cooking oil. Onions go in, turning golden and sweet. Apple slices follow. Just 5 minutes to soften. A spoon of honey turns everything into a shiny caramel glaze. It simmers for 15 more minutes. Apples melt. Bacon stays crunchy. A pan over fire. The heart of Viking cooking, where stories begin. The stew is served in clay bowls at autumn feasts, the blots. In the sagas, this dish is a generous gift from the gods. Traces of honey and apples are found in half of ancient cooking pots. A true northern taste, smoke, sweetness, and the forest around. A medieval underground cellar, cool, slightly damp, filled with the smell of hops. This is where dark beer was born, real warmth for long winters. Archaeologists in Khao Pang found barley and hops in nearly 7 out of 10 barrels. It wasn't just a drink, it was the soul of every feast. Let's peek into an old kitchen. A whole farm chicken, big, juicy, about 1.5 kilos. A liter of dark beer, foamy with a slight bitterness. Wild onions, a couple of garden carrots, sea salt, and a pinch of juniper berries for aroma magic. Everything local, grown nearby. A heavy iron pot goes over the fire. The chicken fries in its own fat, turning golden and crispy, the aroma spinning around you. Then in go the onion and carrots. A few minutes to soak up the juices. We pour in the dark beer, foam rising, steam swirling like ancient cellar spirits dancing above the flames. We let it simmer under a lid for about 40 minutes on low heat. The beer reduces into a thick, rich sauce. Juniper adds a deep, resinous woodland note. The meat turns so tender, it falls off the bone. Pure cauldron magic. Served in clay bowls after a long journey. In the saga of Egil, meals like this are fit for real warriors. Archaeologists find chicken bones among beer brewing remains, proof of tradition. Try it, hops, fire smoke, the warmth of a hearth, a flavor that once nourished heroes. Spring in the northern lands, the season when nature wakes up. At dawn, women walk to the meadows by the fjord to gather young nettles, green, stinging, full of life. Archaeologists in Hedeby found nettle seeds in more than half of the kitchen pits. It wasn't just foraging, it was a ritual of renewal. Now, to the hearth. Half a kilo of fresh nettles, rinsed and tender. A handful of barley groats for thickness and nourishment. A bit of wild onion, a pinch of sea salt, and a liter and a half of clear spring water. Everything from meadows and fields, a recipe written by nature itself. In a clay pot, the water starts to boil. The salt hisses. Nettles go in first. 5 minutes later, the sting fades and green steam rises. Then barley and onion. 20 more minutes, and the soup thickens like spring soil after rain. A simple boil, yet it feels like nature's own magic. The soup turns thick. The spoon moves gently. The nettles settle to the bottom. The air smells of fresh earth and new life. They cooked it when winter stores were nearly gone. Food for survival, yet made with heart. In the poetic Edda, it's said to give strength and renewal. Poured into clay bowls, the steam rises like the breath of spring. Archaeologists find traces of nettle in nearly half of ancient hearths, proof of its importance. Taste it yourself. Fresh herbs, warm fire, the flavor of awakening.